Another fight that happened on Saturday. It was our guest last week, Will Brooks. Will Brooks was in studio, came in with Louis Smolka, had a great time. Great guest. Tougher than all hell. All hell broke loose in that fight. It was a war. And so Will's fighting Oliveira, and they're going back and forth. And they're trading with one another on their feet. Will Brooks finally looked for a takedown. He found it. He got him down, had his moments. I thought Will was starting to turn the tide in his favor. Get into the third round, and Oliveira gets him in a precarious position. Will couldn't move. Oliveira swinging away. Ref steps in, TKO. Then there's antics after the fight. I found them rather entertaining myself, but there's antics after the fight, and we come to find out. Even as I was watching, I thought, as good as Will's looking, Will Brooks did look good in that contest, but as good as he was looking, I was thinking, man, this is a bad Will Brooks. He's not as sharp as he usually is. As good as he was looking, I thought, this still isn't, there's a better Will Brooks out there. Well, we found out he broke his rib. He broke his rib in like the second round. Now, Joel's in studio with me. Joel was there. He took Ladd. They had great seats in the third row. And where they were seated was right behind Brooks's corner. So Brooks had told his corner after what I believe was the second round, hey, my rib is broke. And King Mo, who was in his corner, was screaming back at him. Essentially, so what? Or we got to deal with this, or get it out of your head, or what? But King Mo was letting him know that one's got nothing to do with the other. We're in the middle of a fist fight. That's the right advice, and frankly, that's the only advice you can give your fighter unless you want to throw in the towel. Those are your two options. You can stop the contest, or he's going to have to go out there and deal with it. So we find out that Will Brooks' rib was hurt, and that's a pretty hard thing to do anything. It's a pretty hard thing to live with. Have you guys ever had a broken rib? Pretty uncommon. But ribs are a particularly tough one because even if you go to the hospital, they can't even put you in a cast like they would for, say, an arm or a leg or a foot or really any other bone. There's nothing they can do with a rib. And even breathing, when I said just living in general is hard with a broken rib, even breathing, getting in a breath of air, oh man, it hurts so bad. Getting out of bed, rolling over, moving, it's really, really tough. So to be in a fight with a broken rib, I mean, man, that one's kind of a game over. I always bitch about guys that pull out a fight through, oh, I'm hurt. So what if everybody's hurt. What's that got to do with anything? But I've always kind of given a pass to the guy with the broken rib because there's nothing you can do, even medically. There's really nothing you can do with a broken rib except wait. It's just a time game. You wait, your rib heals, and then you can get back to track. So now I understand why Will Brooks was fighting a little bit off, but it comes back to the point I was making about Lineker. Should we fault Will Brooks? Is that fair? Not because of the rib. Not because of the rib. His opponent, Oliveira, did not make weight. He was 5 pounds over? 5 pounds over. 5.5 pounds over. All right. Joel's telling me in the background. So Oliveira misses it by 5.5 pounds. Now, to put that in perspective for you, okay, it goes from 145 to 155 to 170. So 5.5 pounds doesn't just make you too damn big for that weight class. It makes you slightly undersized for the next weight class. So Will Brooks is in there with a welterweight, any way you want to slice it. Will Brooks loses. That's going to affect him in the rankings. That's going to move Oliveira in the rankings. And, of course, it affects all of us because all we know is what we saw, and what we saw was Will Brooks lost a fight. But is that right for us to do when he accepts a contest where he's overweight? Now, I started to talk about this on Lineker. I lost my place, so I'll tie this into Will Brooks. So you guys understand how this works. You're paid to show up, and then you're paid a bonus to win. Well, you've got to define those things, right? The win part's pretty easy, but what does show mean? What show means, according to the contract, is that you weigh in. If you weigh in and then your fight gets called off, for whatever reason, contractually, the promoter must pay you. You've shown up. It doesn't mean you got to show up on fight night. It doesn't mean you need to walk into the ring. It doesn't mean you need to compete. Show is defined as you get on the scale and you weigh in. When Oliveira missed weight, Will Brooks could have said, I'm out, I'll see you all later, and hand me my check before I go. Contractually, he could have done that. In hindsight, maybe he should have done that. There is a code amongst fighters, and I'm not sure where this came from, but look, the oldest rule in show business, guys, the show must go on. I cannot remember a time ever that I can recall at the top of my head where somebody missed weight and the opponent refused the fight. So Will Brooks, falling in line with what everybody else does, accepted the fight. The show must go on. Except he lost. I just think everybody should take that into some kind of consideration. I know the guys that do the rankings won't. They're going to slip Will. They're going to advance Oliveira. It was an unfair contest. And I know the default button. I already know the default button because I think it too. I know what you guys are thinking because I think it too. So what? It's 5.5 pounds. So what? Well, okay, but there's still an agreement. There's still an agreement made. I mean, how far are we going to go with this whole so what thing? Are we going to let rules slide? Are we going to let a guy start poking another guy in the eye? Slip a headbutt in there, kick him while he's down? Make the rounds 5.5 minutes instead of 5 minutes? I mean, the rules matter. 5 minutes and 5 seconds? I go, 5 seconds, close enough. Well, okay, maybe, but except there is rules, and there's not a whole lot of them. That's the one thing about MMA. Man, there's not a whole lot of rules. So the few that we have, it's pretty important. It's pretty important that we follow them. Joel, you're writing a note for me. Say what? Say it. What?
Okay, so we got a couple problems. So apparently you can only hit the scale one time on weigh-in, and you're either on or you're off. That they've changed the weigh-ins till 9 o'clock, and that's great. But
9 o'clock in the morning.
9 o'clock in the morning. But that's great. But if you miss by a half a pound, like Lineker did, you got to be able to go cut that half a pound. The half a pound's never, the last half a pound's never easy. Have you ever cut the last pound and you were like, oh wow, that last pound was easy, it just fell off? Never. So one of the problems is they need to deal with that. A guy comes in 5.5 pounds overweight, he's never planned on making weight. He never planned. The night before he was 12 or 13 over, and he made a deal with himself. I'll get to 5.5 and I'll call it good. It's 20%. So what? That's a guy that's already missed weight before. It's interesting that you haven't brought that up. Is the mental battle that you fight as a fighter is so huge. It's so huge. So when a guy misses weight, it's almost like they've changed opponents on you. And now, and you could tell Will was twisted that the guy missed weight, but not only did he miss weight by a little bit, he missed weight by 5.5 pounds. So you could see, you're competing against a guy that has missed weight. Okay, so your whole everything, you're entitled. Now you're an entitled fighter. He shouldn't. I was going to kick his ass before, but he's going to go out and I'm going to beat him. Well, it didn't happen that way. And you could see it during the fight before he breaks his ribs that, man, this isn't, I'm annoyed by this. I'm annoyed by this. So cage fighting is, it's its own thing. But man, when have you ever saw so many boxers? You never see a boxer miss weight. Very rarely will you ever see a boxer miss weight, but it's commonplace with fighters. So they need to get a handle on it, man. I mean, I took Ladd down there to the fights, and both the main event and co-main event, they missed weight, and that was irritating to me because it's unfair. You can't make a case for it. You cannot make a case for a guy missing weight by 5.5 pounds. That guy shouldn't have been able to fight. He should not have been able to fight, and he's missed weight before I'd cut him.
Okay, well then let me make this point to you. A fighter. Okay, so here's what you just said that I'm responding to. You said he should not have been able to fight. I get what you're saying. Somebody has to make that call, and the way it's structured right now is that call has to be made by the opponent, who is Will Brooks. In a million years, Will Brooks is not going to back down. He can't. He just can't. Nobody can. I'm putting Will Brooks' name on this, but it could be any fighter.
It shouldn't be his call.
That's what I'm saying. So it should not be his call. The commission is in there, and the commission has put restraints on it. They want guys to make weight. They're taking 20% of their purse. That's a huge number. They're taking 20% of the purse and giving it to somebody else. They need to up it.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Somebody that has fought numerous times and had to cut numerous pounds of weight. If somebody came into the sauna or the goofy tub that you guys do and said, "Hey, Chael, you for 20% of your purse, you don't have to cut that last 5.5." How many times are you going to say, "Get out of the tub and start eating"?
All of them.
Every single time. 20% is not a detriment to a guy starving himself to death. It's not.
Oh, okay, so we're saying the same thing then. So you're saying that number as a deterrent for a guy to not miss the weight, to make the weight, needs to be upped. And I agree with you. It needs to be upped, or the commission needs to step one time. You got to understand, now the show has to go on. I don't want to create a problem for these guys that are trying to create a TV show. You got opponents, you've got all this expense out there, you got fans that came to see. I mean, the show has to go on, but one time, one time a guy gets a boot up the ass and we end this. One time, one show's going to get hurt. One ticket sale, the people are going to leave upset because the card was subject to change. One time, that message is going to go through the industry so damn fast. But instead, Joel, it seems to be the other way. Yeah, he loses 20% of his purse. Okay, and that hurts. But he's got another fight in 3 months. He's still with the company. They advance him in the rankings. He gets a win over Will Brooks.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't get it. It's not enough of a deterrent.
We agree.
Yeah, we agree, but my question is still, because I don't have the answer, is, well, what do you do? Do we default back to what's already in place, which is taking the 20% of the purse, except we move that number? Do we move that number to 50%? Do we move it to 80%? I mean, what do we do? Do we take all of his purse and fine him $2,500? Do we give him a suspension? Right, a guy that's using an illegal substance? The reason that's illegal is because there's a rule that says that he can't take it. If the rule wasn't there, then it's all of a sudden not a banned substance. That guy's got to pay a $2,500 fine and sit for a year. So why is this rule being treated different? It's a rule, contractually, a legal agreement sanctioned by the commission, who works at the discretion of the Attorney General's office, who works at the pleasure of the governor. It's a big deal. Why is this one overlooked?
Probably because the people that are making those rules have never cut a pound in their life. That's probably why.
Or had to be in a fist fight with somebody that's got a 5.5 pound weight advantage.
And had it all week. You know? I mean, 5.5 is ridiculous. A half pound, man, you got to give him some time to go cut that weight. You know, but there has to be, that can't happen. You can't have a guy who did what Will did. He took a fight on 3 weeks' notice. He came in on 3 weeks' notice and took this fight. His guy, who is a killer, misses weight, and he misses weight by a long shot. Now it's just, yeah, they have to do something. I would cut the guy. You know, if the medics haven't come in, like they do. If the medics come in and say, "Hey, listen, this guy cannot make weight. We are taking him to the hospital and he's off the card," and that does happen. It happened with Johnny Hendricks. It's happened some other times. It happened 2 times in a row with the 2 different cats that Ian McCall was going to fight. 2 shows in a row, his guy couldn't medically make weight. So he got his show money and it got out of that. Again, he wasn't on the top of the card. He wasn't the co-main, but yeah, there has to be something as dire as being suspended for a year. You know, if it's cut. It's you, man. You said, "I'm going to make this weight." It was you that said it. You're the one who said, I'm going to go down to 135. Nobody made you do that.
And there's a legal contract in place on top of there being a rule that you need to make weight, but there is no punishment. It's the only rule in fighting where if you break it, there's no punishment.
And then they make deals afterwards. Because it's such a gray area. They make deals afterwards, and the deal that somebody came up with for Oliveira was he couldn't weigh over 175 pounds
on fight day.
On fight day,
wow.
Which is it's contested at 155 pounds. The USADA's going crazy regulating the drugs in this sport. The weight has to be regulated. It has to be regulated because the fighters have proven over and over again they're not going to make weight. It's crazy. Have you ever seen this many wrestlers miss weight at the NCAAs, at any tournament? You don't see guys miss weight ever, and we see it every single show, or at least every other show.
Yeah, and to your point with USADA, to make that tie-in, one of the reasons USADA jumped in and they said, look, there's a need, is some guys were weighing the pros with the cons. Hey, there's not enough con here. There's not enough negatives to me taking supplements. If I get flagged or get caught, I'm sitting for a year. Well, if I win my fight, I'm sitting for 4 to 5 months till my next one anyway. This is flawed logic, but this is what they argued. They argued that, hey, we need more cons. We've got to change this from a 6-month suspension, used to be 3-month suspension, turned into 9 months, went to 12. We got to take that minimum 2-year, 4-year for your next offense, lifetime ban for your third. We got to make some deterrents to get rid of this. And the same thing needs to be said with weight, because it is not a fair contest. It's not. The whole reason regulation came in was to make sure this is a fair, all the way to the way the guy wraps his hands. You know, that's regulated, again, by the commission, who works for the attorney general, who works at the pleasure of the governor. I mean, it's a big deal. These commissions are a big deal. And right here in Oregon under Bob Carpenter, we do it right. I mean, we really do it right. But this one seems to be overlooked, and I think it's because no one's made a stink. I don't think anyone's just said it as clear as I'm saying it right now, that it is not a fair contest. When one guy is overweight, now you're saying that they put something in there, man, that's PR if they did that. If somebody just wanted to look like we put a restraint on it, so we give the guy can be 25, well, I guess it's 20 pounds. 20 pounds over the agreed upon limit? Well, okay. I mean, make it 100 pounds if you just want to say that you did something, but I didn't even know that happened. That doesn't make me feel a bit better.
No,
Will Brooks was in an unfair contest, period.
Well, from the start, it's just, if your guy, you know, we come from the wrestling world, and nobody has ever competed after missing weight, not one single time, ever.
And it was not the opponent's call. The referee pulls him. The NCAA, the IOC, the OSAA here in Oregon, they pull him. It never gets put to the opponent, where the opponent has to look like a coward. It never gets put to his camp or his coaches, or, well, we'll give you this if you do it. The referee makes the call. Right then, this match is off. And you don't have that but I get why you don't. I mean, I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too. I'm arguing both sides, and I'm arguing both sides strong, because don't forget, this is television. There is a time limit. There are tickets sold to people who were promised to see this contest. You have to deliver.
Well, do you? So this particular card, there's all sorts of people on that card that could have took either one of those guys' spots, and This isn't the Vegas pay-per-view card. It's a FS1 in Portland that a majority of the fans that I talked to, they didn't even know the fight. They didn't know the UFC was in town. They bought the tickets, you know, the last week. They didn't really care who was fighting. The UFC was in town. They were going to go buy the tickets. And if they've ever been to a card in Vegas, they know that they're getting away with something. You can take your kids to the show in Portland. So the people, I was furious at both the main event and the co-main event for a bunch of different reasons, weight being one of them. But that getting off topic, that
Dotson running away.
Dotson running away for 25 minutes, and 10 minutes into it, I'm like, what's going on? And then I was like, oh my God, that's his plan. This is his plan, and I get to hear everybody talk about, well, Floyd Mayweather. No, Floyd Mayweather will stand in front of you and you can't hit him. Dotson was running away for somebody to have given him 3 out of the 5 rounds, 48-46. That means he gave him 4 rounds. That judge gave that guy 4 rounds for running away, and that's what he did, and that was ridiculous. But there you go. The greatest mind in MMA, Mr. Jackson, formulated the greatest plan, and he's known for that. He did it. He's done it before. That's ridiculous. It's a cage fight, guys. Go fight. That isn't skill. That you're running away. That was
well. And the judges saw it that way. In boxing, you can. In boxing, you can't. Floyd Mayweather fights going backwards. Jackie. He used to train every day running backwards. Sugar. Why can't I produce his name? I want to say Jackie Robinson.
Sugar Ray Leonard?
No.
Sugar Ray Robinson.
Thank you very much. Sugar Ray Robinson. I said Jackie. It threw me. Sugar Ray Robinson used to train. When he would do his runs, Joel, 5 miles, he'd do them backwards. Did you know that? He would run all 5 miles. He was a master of moving back. Muhammad Ali moved backwards a lot. So in boxing, you can do it. The guy's coming forward. It's a little bit different. In MMA, when a guy does it as a strategy, it is infuriating. And the guys have the right to their strategies, and I'm not picking on I'm not teaming up with you and picking on a coach here, but it's infuriating in MMA. In boxing, boy, they get away with it. It kind of turns into an art thing, but it doesn't carry over to MMA. It's a piss-off is what it is.
Yeah. It was, and then I thought Dana was going to go nuts. I thought they were all going to be upset with it. I watched it. I was right there, and it was annoying. It was, I'm not the guy that's like, here, let's have a bloodbath. I see the art in the sport. As a matter of fact, the crowd was booing Will and Cowboy. I thought that was a good fight. I thought that was a good fight. There wasn't a lot of action, but there was a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, to literally run away, and that's what Dotson did over and over and over again.
And he's so good. Dotson's just so good. It's like, man, just dance with the ones that brought you. And if that guy's skills are better, let him have it. But when these guys sit down and they try to think of everything, come up with this perfect strategy, it's like, look, you want the perfect strategy? Go fight the way you fight. And then hope that that's better than the way the other guy fights. So many thoughts on that, but the weight thing is a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal, and something has to be done, and I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I truthfully, I just don't know, but it is not a fair fight. There is a reason that weight classes came in. There's a reason you have that weigh-in, and it's not just so that the fans can look at somebody wearing his underwear on a scale. It's because you need to know that it's a fair contest. Everything's been agreed upon. You move forward from there.
Yeah, and these guys need the money, too. 90% of these guys need that win money, and without a fight, there's no win money,